And
Hey Eric,
see,
how are
money.
you today? What's going on?
I'm doing good. Just getting stationary in DC.
Right, I was gonna say, are
Just
you
got
gonna
down
tell
here
everybody
to
where you
DC.
are? Right, I was gonna say, are you gonna tell everybody where you are and what you're doing this week?
Yes, yes. So I will be here in Washington D.C. We are having it's Minorities for Medical Marijuana, along with a number of partner organizations, a lobby days where we're going to be meeting with a number of reps and senators from the different congressional offices and talk about cannabis and hemp policy. And then we're going to participate in the National Cannabis Festival activities on Thursday, which is 20. And then we're after that, we're going to go to the National Cannabis Festival at the old RFK Stadium in the parking lot because the old RFK Stadium be a little bit too run down to go up on the inside of. And I'm speaking on a panel at 4:30 to talk about federal legalization. Where have we come and where are we going? So, I'm going to be the pragmatic old man on the panel. And then I will be giving everybody the day off on April 23rd because that is my birthday. It's up for national holiday consideration, and I'm granting everybody in America Sunday
Apart,
off
okay, you
and
give them a little bit off.
my benevolent streak.
Okay, all right. Well, that is exciting.
I'm a
That
little too
is
much.
exciting. Well, you usually do. I wouldn't expect anything different, right? Of course, coming from you and
Yes,
a fellow tourist,
yes.
you gotta put it down. Of course, of course. All right, cool.
Yep, nope.
So, okay, so you checked into
All
your
right.
hotel. You had a safe trip. Everything was good, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're in actually in an Airbnb, so it's actually
Oh,
pretty nice.
potsy potsy.
Yep. So
All right.
getting ready for it. We got a lot of meetings over the next couple of days. So getting a lot more scheduled today. So getting plugged in and ready to tackle on these important issues of cannabis and hemp, especially on how we make hemp be what it can be. Uh, as my boy Jason Cole would always say, make it do what it do. Getting ready for it. We got a lot. Simone, I love your background. That's the new office.
This is yeah. You didn't. You gotta come in. Yeah. Oh, you should see the other side. It's really dope. But yeah, this is the new office, and I'm so excited. I love it. I got Bloomberg playing in the back, and the couch and table. Oh my God, it's really cute. So yes, this is the new dig. So yeah, and we're doing a photo shoot. I was gonna do a photo shoot here last week, but then I had a pimple, and it was a whole episode. So don't get into it. But yes, you have to come and hang out and let me take you to lunch. I got a perfect place that you'll love. They got good chicken. I know you're a chicken fan. I'm gonna take you there, and then we have a new
Oh,
client
okay.
in Lansing. I got to take you there too. But it's a whole episode. All right, so we have done enough talking. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts because one of the things that, of course, you're in DC. We're talking about cannabis, and one of the things that definitely stands out, and we've been hearing it over and over and over again, and we've probably heard it louder than ever. Safe bank, safe bank, safe bank. What does banking mean to cannabis? Over and over and over again. So let's go. Let's get started. Let's talk about the big
Right.
elephant in the room. We saw the bank, the bank run with Silicon Valley Bank. We've seen a lot of tightening in the economy, and so I don't know if people really know what's going on and how all of this is going to kind of affect, or if it even will affect what's going on with cannabis. And so I think this is a good time for us to talk about what it means fiscally and what it's going to mean monetarily and what it's going to actually mean to the cannabis community and its sentiment. like how we're going to feel and how we're going to be impacted. And we're seeing a lot of things going on, but I don't know if everybody really knows what it means. So, you want to jump in first?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Go
ma'am. I
ahead.
will jump in. So, guys, first off, we got to be real out here. So, a lot of y'all may not understand how, and even with all my knowledge, Simone has raised my game. She's one of the smartest in these streets out here.
Oh, shucks.
And when you deposit your money in the bank, the bank does not actually have all of everybody's money in that particular branch location and all of their branch locations. They have it on record, they have systems, but they don't always have it in the bank because of a variety of activities, interbank lending, loans, other things that they do. They leverage your money that you put in, make money for you on interest bearing accounts, but also make money for themselves. And what's been happening this year is there have been a number of banks that have been specialized in a few industries, the tech industry and a couple of other industries, and they heavily bet on treasury. Well, and Simona kind of add into this, but they heavily bet on one of the financial instruments. You know, if you like bet on stock and you think the stock's going to go up or something like that, well, they did something with what's called treasury notes. And so, unfortunately, that started to become a bad bet once interest rates started being raised because of inflation. And so they started having what's called a run on their bank. Now, here's what a run on their bank means. It basically means, look, people that have deposits in that bank are coming to get their money. And they have too many people coming to get the money versus how much money they actually have to be able to pay out the deposits. That becomes a problem. And so what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, with Signature Bank, there was a third bank that started with an S. What's happening with Republic Bank and a few other of these mid-sized regional banks is people have started either coming to get their money and they've had to go into pretty much they crashed. Silicon Valley and Signature Bank crashed and had to have the Federal Reserve step in to bail them out, but really to bail out the depositors, not the investors, but the depositors in the bank. And so there's been a lot of concern about other regional banks want to start taking their money out because they're fearful that, well, is this bank going to still be here next week? You know, it's like that person that you've been dating and you're not sure if term or if they're going to basically slip out in the middle of the night, take your car keys and your signature. Well, that's kind of what's been going on, just to put it in plain text. And so right now, to add to that, interest rates have been going up. So the Federal Reserve, working in what I consider a supply side economic approach versus a demand side, has been trying to get inflation back down to 2% or less. And so they've kept raising rates, which we haven't had rates raised like this since the 2000 C, I think so. That's when we were up this high in terms of interest rates.
Correct.
And that makes harder, that makes it more costly to borrow money.
Hmm.
So you got banks make their money off of lending. That's one of their biggest money drivers. If it costs more to lend, and there's also this concern that people have that be here next week and take your cigarettes and your car keys, it's going to have an impact on people being able to get loans, people
Hmm.
being able to open up business, vetting that's going to take place. And unfortunately for the cannabis industry, which only about 14 or 15% of the banks around the country are doing business with marijuana related businesses, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be more difficult for you to get access to capital and for you to get bank services for the banks that do business with you. It is going to be a lot of mess out here in these streets because of what's going on and how it relates to you as a business in the cannabis industry. Did I
So
get
let
a
me
good
take some
background on where
questions.
we
Let me take some
stand?
questions before we give some solutions, right? So we've already talked about
Okay.
what the problem is, right? Do we have any questions
Yeah.
out there? Anybody want to list any questions before we go into some, some additional? And we've already talked about what the problem is. Anybody?
Yeah. And hopefully y'all do have some questions. This is important. You know, the bank and now mind you, some of the banks that do business in with marijuana related businesses have started doing lending. In Michigan, Union Bank, that does a lot of banking for marijuana related. And a year and a half ago, they started doing lending products.
Well, Eric, hold
They've
on.
got a
Before you
whole
even go
system.
any further, there's a
Oh,
bunch of pieces that you're missing. First of all, you have to understand
okay.
that
Please fill it in.
banking, right? Cannabis is not unbanked; it's underbanked. All right. When cannabis was
Exactly.
unbanked, there were still avenues for people to get lending. All right. Our total
Mm-hmm.
economy as a whole has moved from equity to debt, period. Right? So we're no longer even
Mm-hmm.
looking at VCs pushing narratives of equity in any, I mean any beyond. You need to understand there is no sector that is pushing equity as a whole. Now when we look at whether or not we're going into a recession is considered when you have not one but two consecutive cycles of negative GDP. We have not seen that. Now let me tell you what they're doing and why they're mad. The biggest basis of all of this is the fact that right now we people are not going back to work. That's what you need to understand. There is no way for the IRS or for anybody to track the amount of money that's out there. When we look at GDP, that's really just pretty much measuring how much is spending and how much is being spent. That's the consumer price index. And then that's also going to look at how much is being made in the country. They can't track that by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Buildings are not
Yes.
there's no shortage of building homes. Employee hours for manufacturers, there's no shortage of that. Anything that's actually being a leading indicator doesn't say that. So there's so much money being made out there. You got to look at it like this, and I tell everybody this. Everybody pick up your phone. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you how correctly I am. I bet you everybody that is in the sound of my voice can look at their phone and actually pick up and look at least and pull up at least three people or who are millionaires right now, who are worth $1 million. We are living in a time where I bet you right now, three people in your phone you can reach out and touch and talk to in a speed dial who are millionaires. Our parents never had access to that kind of money, that kind of revenue, those kind of touches, right? And so there's so
Yeah.
excess to money and they can't track it, neither can they tax it. So in the event of that and host of everything else, what does that mean? They have to be able to pull in the money supply, right? And how do they pull in the money supply? They go out and they sell. They sell. When they want to tighten up the money supply, they sell bonds. That's how they do
Mm-hmm.
it. They sell bonds when they want to loosen the money supply. They put money out there and they buy bonds, right? And what does that do? They sell bonds at a higher rate so that the bonds that are already issued become less valued and they have to be done at a discount. What do we call that? An inverted curve. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the bonds that are out there are less important, and they are done at a lesser rate. And then we go in and we increase and that price of everything, and that makes inflation. Why is that important to you? It's a couple of different things. No, we could never go into a bank and do traditional loans. And even the ones that were doing it, they were doing it at a crazy, crazy rate. That's why you see so many cannabis companies going into what do we hear every day? Consolidation, 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 because they have this anymore and they have this crazy.
See, can you repeat because your audio went out a little bit?
I think I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Okay, Simone will be right back.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's
Okay,
up.
I heard something happen. So they were getting these loans at these crazy, crazy rates, right? And then in addition to not paying the loans back, okay, what is the problem?
A static.
You can't hear me?
Back, you're perfect. The static's gone.
Okay. You can hear me
Like
now.
a couple bars on what you were laying down, them good lyrics.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
And just to add reasons why there's trouble in terms of the money flow and is a lot of people, you had a lot of baby boomers who left the workforce,
Can you hear me
then
now?
into the workforce, and a lot of people started side hustles that are outside of business and taxable income universe.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we get you.
Is it staticky?
No, the statics,
Are you sure?
yes, I'm sure.
Okay. All right, go ahead. So go ahead and talk
Oh,
about the
yeah.
baby boomers.
Yeah, no, I was just backing up what you were saying in terms of what we're the why, as you mentioned, that money is there's a lot of loose and there's not enough people coming in. One other thing to add to, we do have a it's called the folks that are trying to join the country at the southern border, take a lot of the jobs that people don't want to take that are sitting here right here in the country. But that has been a problem too, because you got folks that don't want the new want to take the jobs that are out there either because they got their side hustles. So that as well.
Okay. So let's look at some things that we can do while we're in this situation, right? So as before, I think we have to understand that that this is the problem. We know what the problem is, and I think we're going to have to look at alternatives. So going back to the original thing, I think broker. How do you feel? I think brokered loans are going to be an advantage for us, and I think that that's for anybody that's in this climate, whether it be hospitality, whether it be a dispensary, anybody in this space. I'm thinking that brokered loans would be better because you're going to be able to get lending opportunities and people that have more of a risk tolerance for something in this space. I don't believe that there's going to be in like you're not going to cast a large net, right? You're not going to be able to get everyone to participate in this industry or many of the other industries, but there will be parties who will that you can speak directly to who will be interested in your cause or in your business model. What do you think?
To that, also I would add to that have to add in cash conservation, managing coming in right. Because remember, we've got here in Michigan some examples of some business before the state legalization of medical in 20 that were making money, didn't have it taxed, but then once they got into the were still making money, but weren't spending their money the right ways and ended up getting into. So cash conservation is going to be a big thing too through this period because it's going to be tight to get money sources in terms of lending. That's going to be a little tighter. So I would say well, too, and managing your money right.
Well, I think the poor SOPs, right? For I think a lot of the ones that came after pandemic did a lot better with having less expenses. I think the ones that were pre-pandemic burn through a lot of cash. And the other one, the other thing that I have seen consistently, underinsured, underinsured. So a lot of them came in and really got whatever the state required for them to get insurance. But they did not cover themselves for loss of finished stock. They didn't even cover themselves for loss of robbery, a host of different things, employee theft, all of these different things that they ended up eating a loss on, where they could have been insured and been protected. So I've seen that a lot, and they call me for a claim, and I'm like, you got the bare minimum. What do you mean? So with that, being able to take those losses, I've seen that consistently, and now them looking at a more robust or a more a better insurance portfolio. But to your point, better SOPs, also not having outdated inventory management, and then better training for employees, and just being better stewards of the actual operation. I agree with that, and that will lessen shrinkage.
Simone, let me ask you a question under insurance, and how does that impact your cash flow in terms of the insurance impact? Now, me and you know it on the backside, but for a lot of folks out here, they may not know why the insurance is important to help you stay financially solvent.
Well, up until late, insurance was really the only thing that solidified cannabis businesses as a business before, right? Because we already knew there was a time when cannabis was unbanked. Right now, we're just underbanked. So when I first started, that was the only thing that was there, and that was the only thing that the state required, right? That was mandatory. So, and that was general liability. So if something happened, slip and fall and all that other stuff. Now, when you go in, a lot of the packages make sure that you have product liability, right? So you got to have this product liability. If your product makes someone sick or whatever, then you have that in the packages. But to even go further, we have finished stock. So that means, you know what shake is? Do you know what shake is? Eric, everybody else out there probably know what shake is. That's the
The
stuff
stuff
after
after
you
you
take the
take the
bud off,
bud off.
you got shake.
No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, that's what they call it. It's the stuff, it's the residue or whatever. But you can get that to edibles and to all the other people or whatever, and you can house it or whatnot. And so we have finished stock or even finished products or whatever. So if you keep that somewhere and for the next harvest, and somebody comes in and they utilize it, or they take it or they break it in, then we can actually cover that. In addition to that, we have employee theft liability, employee liability, we have transportation, and all of these different things for things that could happen, different hazards, all the way across the board. And y'all know it's Murphy's Law. Anything can happen, but it happens to be so many times because they didn't have the coverage. A lot of these things, they don't even report, right? They don't even report, and they end up eating the loss. So in that, having the right coverage and having someone that actually understands the risk tolerance. I'm not saying be over insured, but definitely be protected.
Okay. No, I think you're right on that. And because the question in the back was about, is this similar to what happened in 2008? And there are some similarity points to it, but I think you got a couple things. One, you don't have the job loss that's happening, and you indicators that happened when we had the 2008 financial. Then also, you don't have the federal government spending money to bail out banks. They are spending the money that some of the money they're spending is related to deposits. A lot of the big banks actually putting out money to help prop up these mid-size. But I think it still makes it tight for the cannabis business. If you do have a banking relationship, you're probably going to be more scrutinized on with the bank situation that we have right now, don't you think?
But you're going to be more scrutinized, but everybody is about to be more scrutinized. Money is just going to become more expensive. Whether you're doing a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, whether you're doing a purchase, money is going to become more expensive, period. That's just across the board. Now, money was expensive for us to begin with, right? Just to open up a bank account is what, 3,000, $1,000 to $3,000 a month monthly fee. You're gonna pay a fee to open it up. This is any touch business. Now, if you go in and you go and get a loan of any kind, and let's say just humor me, you do $100,000, right? Do $100,000, you're gonna pay the broker 10%, right? So you're only taking 90 out of there, you know. And then after that, you're gonna do a percentage of anywhere from 9 to 15. That's if you're lucky, right? Then you're gonna pay that every month, and that's if you got collateralized, you know. So I'm here to provide capital for established brands. So look, Coach Chief's on here, so there you go. You know what I mean? But you have different people that are on there. Now, in addition to that, you have a lot of predatory lenders that are out there, right? That are even doing 20% or more. And a lot of these individuals, a lot of the entities that went in and they went and got 15 million, $20 million, and they were ended up paying up to 20%. And then with a balloon payment, they couldn't handle it, you know. So you just have to do your research, do your due diligence. But even at this time, while we are in this debt environment, where equity is going to be low, opportunities, that's it. But y'all know I'm your fairy money mama. So I do have some other alternatives for you. All right. So, in addition to us being in a debt environment, there are going to be some people who will still want to talk to you about equity, right? But we are in 2023. We are here in a place of AI, and people want data, 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 data. So, one of the things that if you are looking to raise capital and you are looking to talk to people, first you need to talk directly to your audience. You need to know who's your audience, who's going to enjoy your brand. Yes, data is king. And so, right now, you got to know who's going to enjoy your brand, who are you talking to, and you got to be able to back it up and walk it like you talk it. So, I want to give you guys a couple of different matrix and sites that I actually use to be able to go back to what I do. So of course you want to be able to create your P&L, your performer, all of your data and everything else. But you know what else people like to say? What is your social impact? What are you doing for the community, and how else are you doing? Are you impacting ESG? So I'm going to give you guys a couple of little sites,
Now
things that you guys
you
can.
know, in some states that's a dirty word. It's
Yeah,
social.
but you know what? It's a dirty word, but you know what? A lot of investors are definitely looking at them. And so, if you can hit some of these metrics and you can prove that you're doing it, it is sometimes it is very much a value position, right or wrong.
I agree with you. I think it's wrong that people are taking the negative attack and
Well, I
more
do too.
money to make in diversity with diverse customers out there.
Well, but this is the thing. If you're talking to perhaps an angel investor, somebody that is utilizing their own money, it definitely is a value position. And then even some of the VCs who are coming together and they're creating a fund, and it's a goodwill fund, definitely, or a fund that just wants to do some other things and want to get into the cannabis space, it is still a value position. If you're talking directly to them. Now, I mean, somebody else, you might utilize some other initiatives, but this is one of the ways that they can do it, right? Eric, did I lose you?
Yeah, Rise keeps putting me on mute.
Oh, okay. I think it's that.
So
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to say sustainable development goals, right? So if you can measure whether or not, like, if, let's say you guys have a cannabis or a hemp business and you are saving the world, you're utilizing, you're doing compost, whatever, I don't know. But or if you are your goal is any of the 17 United Nations goals, make sure that you're able to go on there and you can prove it. That's always a valuable a value position that you can utilize for those and be able to talk to be able to get equity from an angel investor or even a venture capital. What do you think about that, Eric?
No, I think that that's sound. I think that's sound. Pick what you're putting down for people to pick up is how do you still to make yourself an attractive place for investment? How do you, because while a lot of places are going to get tighter over the next
Hmm.
year, not go back and forth on if we're going to be in a recession or not.
Hmm.
Understand it. I think that the old don't apply to today's world.
Right.
You have to find and you have to do the thing so you can either keep your business going or get your business. It's all about these things. This is critical, people. I hope y'all are paying attention. Some good bars right here.
Yeah. I'm gonna give them one more, and then I'm gonna take this question that we got off of the thing. One, I'm gonna give you one more place that that they can go. And that is principal responsible investing, and that's a ESG measurement. And all of these, both of these sites are measurements that you can go on, and that they will help you come up with key ways to be able to measure your footprint, your social impact. And so those will give you matrix to be able to do that. Why is that important? Because people now, they need to be able to have matrix, and you want to be able to explain, not only are we doing goodwill, I have a great performer, we're profitable, and all these things are attractive to investors, right? So if you can't necessarily get funding via debt, this is still a way that you may be able to speak directly to an angel investor or to a VC to say, hey, not only am I great for profit, but I'm also great for goodwill, right? Do banks have produced ESG reports? Banks are in the business of making money, right? So
Right.
as far as I know, and as far as I know, banks care about making money, right? So they make their money on the spread. I think it's wonderful to have ESG, but ESG is really a part of equity, right? It's not really a debt play. And the reason being is because SEC it's a value position as far as people who are owning equity. It's not a bond play. So, you say that I have ownership and I'm owning in a company who is doing goodwill, right? Have you ever heard of Bamba? Y'all know who Bamba is?
The sock company?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Bamba is the fastest growing sock company. I don't know if y'all saw this, right? So last year, they've been around like 3 years. And I don't know if you saw this, but they donate a pair of socks every time we buy one, right? And so if you saw their commercials just like last Christmas, it was like, oh, we send a sock out every time that somebody buys one, right? If you see their sock commercial today, now mind you, this is just April. They list and how the numbers go real fast, and it's like we have given out 4,022 socks to date. The matrix are there. They have to be there. That's a value position, right? So equity is looking for value. Banks don't care about value. Banks, you gonna give me my money. They should not. When you gonna give me my money? They don't care about that. So that's the value position on that, right? So it's ownership. And
Yeah,
then
no. And also on the ESG part,
mhm,
you got to remember the Community Reinvestment Act from, I believe it was 1977, passed under the Carter administration. That does govern activities that banks are supposed to do lending and other economic investment activities in underserved, disproportionately impacted, economically challenged communities and with different racial minority groups. So that's something that's been in play. It has not always been effective, in all honesty, though, but at least it's a framework that also is a part of the law for banks in terms of what they're supposed to do to help
But
you guys.
that's under the lending and the employment, right? So look, just like when they took on all of those community banks, remember they signed those treaties, like even Chase and everything else, that their staffing will reflect what the communities that they own, that the lending will look just like whatever else. But
Yeah,
they didn't agree to doing no, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, we're gonna lend to you because you clean up the grass outside. They never said that. That ain't what they
right.
said. It's all
That's
about
law.
getting it right. Oh, you got a horrible credit score, but we still gonna give you this because you pick up the trash. They never said that. That ain't what they doing, right? You know what I'm saying? So that ain't what they doing. And then how do you vet out I'm gonna let you take that and then I'll come back on it. They want to know, how do you vet out people saying they have funding? Ooh, it's a
Yeah,
lot of we
yeah,
look, we have a story. We got so
yeah.
how do you vet that? Go
we
ahead.
we've had this for some clients, unfortunately. Now we've been blessed. We've had some clients that family wise could self invest and get themselves going. Some black, some white, some Hispanic, but also we've had customers at banks and company that don't have that capital. And so this is real tricky because not everybody that says they can help you get money or that they have access to capital in the private equity or the private debt service or debt instrument space is actually, and debt instrument are like loans for construction, loans for real estate, loans to market value if the business is fully operating. Not everybody is the actual bank, if you will. There's a whole lot of people that pose as the bank, but they really are brokers. So we're still learning at Banks and Company how to research, ask the right questions, do the proper due diligence to find out. Because, and then Simone jump in, there's a whole lot that the bad folks in that space can do to mess up your client or you going through that process, your credit to be able to potentially get a real lender to actually give you lending.
Let me tell you, they are ruthless out there. You have some of these brokers that will run your credit 50 times to 50 different lenders. That's crazy. Do you know how that beats up your credit? What else will they do? I mean, they have some of them that will not that won't send it to lenders that are cannabis friendly, and they will bundle up the loan in a non-cannabis package. But guess what? If they ever find out this is a cannabis business, they could cut off the loan. So I've seen some horrible, horrible things. There is only one company that I actually work with, one broker that I trust, and I've never had a problem. He works with all cannabis friend. He works with all kinds, but very trustworthy. We've had a great relationship. We've worked with some deals. Matter of fact, he's helped me buy a commercial property in Michigan. So yeah, we've done a lot of different stuff, but he's helping me buy a building right now. Love him to death, and that's the only one that I've learned that I really, really trust. Anybody else that I've come across has been god awful.
So
There's some horrible people out there.
So what separates, because this is
Mhm.
something that we did learn and trying to find
Oh, I
options.
can tell you. I
We
can tell
did
you.
run across
Mhm.
one or two actual
I'll tell you
real
what it is.
lenders who
Yep.
do it themselves that aren't brokers, but that was more by happenstance
Okay.
than actual work. So how do we and
Yep.
everybody listening get better in that due diligence?
Okay. First thing is he was extreme. He's extremely transparent. Extremely transparent. The second thing is that he gives you step by step of what the process is going to be, right? When you're dealing with a broker, it's different than if you go into a bank, but it's kind of the same. So think about it like this: when you go into a bank, or if you even if you go get a car, you go in, you fill out an application, and then okay, it's more like if you do it in a car, but you go in, you fill out an application, they get your information, then they go in the back, and then his job is to find a lender that's going to accept you, right? So what you have to understand is most brokers, and I'll be honest with you, most brokers will charge you a fee up front because if you don't take the loan, they don't get paid, right? So a lot of brokers will charge you a fee up front, and then they'll go out and hunt and find you a lender. He doesn't. The person I work with does not do that at all. They go out and they work for you or whatever, and then after upon closing out or whatever, then they receive a fee. You want to also make sure that that they are transparent about everything, that they work that I would say that the ask them what the rates are, right? So if the rates are something like 20%, get away from that. Get away from that. That's some. I had another woman. What did she say? She told one of my clients she wanted first or second lien position. This was the broker. This wasn't even the. So when they're asking you things that you know are crazy, get off the phone with them.
Guys, write that one down because
The
a lien
broker asked
position
for the
means
first
that
or second lien
basically
position.
if you are having trouble and you have to go through any sort of reorganization or the like one of the chapters, they are first in line or second in line
Hmm.
to get money from you, even though they didn't actually give you any money. So
Hmm.
that's a real hustle out there.
It's a big. I mean, a lot of people, and I have had people call lenders call me. Oh, we want to work with you. We want to work with. A lot of people call me that. They want, and I'm very my name. Everybody, anybody knows. Ain't no dirt on my name. I don't owe nobody no money. Ain't no dirt on my name. If I tell you I'm gonna pay you on Tuesday, you gonna get it Monday night. I ain't no dirt on my name, and I'm telling you, and people reach out to me all the time wanting to work with me, and I vet them all, and there's a reason because of that, because my reputation is so important to me. But I vet these people, and I'm telling you, they hot garbage. A lot of them, 80% of them in that lending game are horrible. So you got to be very, very careful. Be very careful. But there are opportunities for you to get out there and get more. Crowdfunding is definitely another opportunity, but make sure you vet those sites. Remember, you only have 12 months to gain the money, so make sure that you're very conservative about that. Be realistic about how much money you can raise, because some of them, if you don't raise the whole thing, you have to give it all back.
So actually, Simone, that
Mhm.
actually makes me ask a question.
Sure.
Could there be a ancillary business lane of like you have with certified financial planners
Uh-huh.
and other folks that help people with actually working through
Mhm.
investments and other things? Could there be a business lane for credible people to help small businesses in the cannabis space actually work through all of the different options so that they can find honest information and get routed to honest sources and get help in how to position themselves to get attraction for that lending? Could that be a business line?
Yes, there's two answers to that. One, somebody can become a business consultant, right? And if they're knowledgeable and if they know where the money resides, then they can start a business there. Or they can go to our site, Cannabis Capital Holdings, and we act as a conduit, and we have business owners and team members like venture capitalists and everything else, and they can actually join there. We have a directory. So either one. So either you can start your own business and be a business consultant, or you can go to Candace Capital Holdings, and we have a directory, and they can add themselves to the directory. And we vet everybody.
Okay. And if you're going to start the business consulting route, you need to get as prepared and studied up on it as Simone is talking about, because you will ruin your reputation and hurt small businesses and hurt especially people that look like us
But this
trying
is
to
such
get
a
in
this
here
is
if
such
you
a
don't.
small industry. They gonna talk about you so bad. You know what I mean? Like this. I mean, they talk about you so bad. It's not even worth it. Do you know? Think about it, Eric. How many people have we seen go up the stairs and not come back down? They gonna talk about you so bad. Like
Mhm.
it's not even worth it. You screw over two people, your name is mud. It's
Right.
such a small industry, and especially when you think about the people of color,
Yeah.
man, you toast.
Yeah. So no, I mean, you're right. You are 100% right on that. So guys, don't get in to do it the wrong way.
Mm-mm.
Do it the right way, But yeah, the leash is not long if you are
Mm-mm.
here trying to do it the wrong way. People will
Mm-mm.
find out
Mm-hmm.
and they will expose your game.
They will expose your game.
Hmm.
All right, so cool. Looks like it's time for us to wrap everything up. So what's the rest of your day look like? What are you doing for the rest of the day?
Rest of the day confirm meetings that we have. We've had a slew of other House and Senate members that have asked for or throughout times within our time blocks to get scheduled. So we're probably doubling the number of meetings that we have set just in today. And we'll probably even get some set during the course of tomorrow and Wednesday. So it's going to be really good and really fun. We've got the besides minorities for medical marijuana, we've got the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association, we've got the Asian Cannabis Roundtable, we have Marijuana Policy Project. Now I know that there's a Hispanic Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. We weren't able to find and connect with them, but if you're out there listening, please reach out because we'd love to work with you in next year's lobby day activity because it's important for the organizations that represent people of color to speak together to Congress to make sure that our voice is driving policy, especially in hemp because hemp is legal.
Mhm.
It is underutilized because of the lack of industrial processors and product development, but that has huge upside potential and we need to make sure we're sliding people into that lane as well.
Well, one thing I just want you to say, Washington D.C. is not the same without me being there. Go ahead, just say that part.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. I, I was thinking about just going to ask you, like, look, can you just go ahead and fly on in
Right.
for a little bit?
Well, okay. But I'm here being an insurance agent for the rest of the year. We gotta close everything out. I miss y'all too. I miss y'all too. But y'all know I gotta close. I gotta finish all of this stuff. Like everything that's hanging over, we gotta close this out in 2023. I just gotta close. So I'm here being a boring insurance agent. Just so y'all know, I'm here from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. Even the agents and everybody else. Yes, closing deal and just everything. The securities company, everything has to be done this year. So I'm only taking 3 trips. I miss everybody. Y'all pray for me, but I'm jealous. Look, Nikki, I'm doing Nikki's insurance.
Okay.
And she was flying out and she was like, listen, I need to have everything. I said, girl, I'm not coming to DC. She was worried I wasn't gonna finish her policy because I'm gonna be in DC. I said, y'all have fun. I'll be here working on your policy while you having fun in DC. So
Mhm.
that's it. So I'm working. I got a bunch of people's policies from the group, and I'll be here. So y'all enjoy. Of course, thank you guys, everybody. I want to thank you guys. If you are not a member of the coolest trade group in cannabis, you gotta join. Thank you so much. Love you, love you, love you.
Yes, we love you and hope you definitely join. We need you. Come bring
Oh,
your
I ain't
voice
going nowhere. I'm about to go see a client. Love
to
you
the
guys. Yep. Bye bye.